doing the convention there? My daughter was making a shower, so everybody's good with town, my whole family, but. Wait.
Thank you. We are good to go.
We're good to go. All right, I'm gonna call this Compass Finance Committee meeting to order. It's Thursday, June 18, 2026 at 12 p.m. at the Compass Conference Room. We have a roll call, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Rod Beck.
Here.
Zach Brooks. Trevor Chadwick.
Here.
Dan Heyer.
Here.
Matt Newton.
Here.
John Overton.
Here.
We have a
We have a forum. All right. Item 2, open discussion and announcements. You know any open discussion announcement stuff?
I have nothing from
Anybody else here? No? Okay, all right. We'll move on to the consent agenda and indicate a motion to approve the consent agenda. A motion. Second. Motion, a second. Any discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item 4A, action item to elect a finance committee chair. And we need to elect a finance committee, I'm sorry, vice chair. I was like, wait a minute, that is something. We need to elect a finance committee vice chair, because we don't have one. I'm filling in for Zach. Since he's our new committee chair, so. Any discussion, any motions? Anybody want to do it?
There weren't there two gentlemen that I thought would be good to be on the finance committee? Other than,
We will still be, if I could, we will still be reaching out to contact them, but they expressed interest, but we needed someone from Napa who can make appointments. So we'll reach out and get a result.
I would recommend that's directly to go with the finance person.
Oh, give it to a new person?
I don't know, that's Roman's the best.
Well, you're kind of a new person.
I'm brand new, but I'm here saying.
Does this have to be from Kane again?
No, in fact, if we try to alternate, because Commissioner Brooks is Canyon County.
All right, I'll do it if you want me to do it, doesn't matter.
We try to keep the burden under control.
So the burden under control?
Well, you are genuine 100% NARC now. Was that described from here? Oh, all right. Well, then I'd nominate Trevor Chadwick.
We've got a motion and a second. Is there any further nominations? You're not all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. You go with that?
I get it. I'm good with just having one, but yeah, with you, sure.
All right. Moving to item 4B, the various report that Miss Meg will talk to us about.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the variance report covering the second quarter through March 31st, 2026 is in your packet. The item begins on page 5 with the memo. And I will just talk through a couple of highlights on the budget to actual line item section of the report, which is on page 7 in your packet. As I said, it covers activity through the second quarter, which is March, comparing to revision 1 of our fiscal year 2026 UPWP. We've actually done revision 2 since then, but this was the budget in place at the time that this quarter ended. The first half of the page is the revenue section, beginning with all of our federal grants. This covers billing for activity through the end of February, and that revenue was recorded when it's received. So that February billing occurred in March and recorded when received in April. By the time we get to year end, it'll all be caught up and all of the activity through September will be reported. A little further down the page are our member dues. We've billed 3/4 of dues by this point in the year. Some member agencies pay in full at the beginning of the year. Continuing on down the page, we have our staff costs, which is the largest share of the expense side of our budget. We're right on track. We are fully staffed at 19 individuals. The next section is our direct expenses. You can see that those are below the point you might expect for a budget at this time of the year, but we have some significant projects that will have more activity in the second half of the year. Specifically the project development projects, the community devotional implementation grants that have been awarded, the 2026 flight for orthophotography, and then technical support for our regional travel model. We all expect to see all of that activity ramp up in the second half of the year. We're at the bottom of the page are our indirect expenses. This covers primarily administrative costs, audit, insurance, building expenses, and so forth. Some of these incur in full at the beginning of the year, so you'll see that ahead of budget, but we do expect to end a little bit under budget. So the overall picture, as far as fund balance, which you can see in the balance sheet on page 10 in your pocket, where we are at with fund balance in our balance sheet. We are expecting to draw from our fund balance this year as we budgeted to do, but that draw will be less than what we thought. So we're in good shape. We expect to end the year doing a little bit better on the cash side than we had planned in our budget. The same information presented by program rather than line item is on pages 8 and 9 in the packet with some notes provided there, so I won't go through that. The other picture on fund balance is what I was just mentioning, the blue bar being the budget and the orange bar being where we're projecting to end the year in 2026, way over there on the right. And you can see that it's a little bit better, which is what we have experienced in most past years. That concludes my comment.
Awesome. And do we need to, we need to make a motion to approve, okay, it's here, the recommended motion. Anybody want to make that motion?
I'll make it. I move that we approve the finance, excuse me. The variance report for October 1st, 2025 to March 30th, 2026.
Yeah, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. All right, we'll move on to item 5, information discussion item, for disbursements made.
The report is in your packet, Mr. Chair and committee, but I won't go through it. I'll happy to answer.
Any questions for Ms. Mag? All right, then fine, we'll move on to the next one. Any questions for her on the FY 2027 Unified Planning Work? You gonna go through this one or?
Oh, I am gonna go.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure.
For Chair.
I was gonna say, we're gonna have a record meeting.
This one requires a little bit more attention. So yes, this item is in your packet beginning on page 14 with the memo. Just a little reminder on our process here. We began back at the March meeting. We with the 5-year projection, kind of placing what we thought that your budget for 27 would look like in that larger context. We also presented proposed member dues at that point. Dues were approved by the board in April, and then that brings us to where we are today, giving you a first draft of the budget just as an information item, and so that you'll have the opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback and comments on that budget. We'll make any updates that we need to and bring it back before you in July and ask for your recommendation to the full board. And we'll go to the full board in August for their approval. From there, the BWP goes to ITD and FHWA for their review and approval. And assuming everything goes well, we are ready to start fiscal year on October 1. So this is where we are today in the process. In your packet, you have the memo with explanations. You have a set of financial worksheets, a revenue and expense summary, and then a funding source worksheet, which shows how all of those various expenses are paid. Some items are paid federal money, some are paid with local only dollars, and that shows how it all breaks down by cost or by funding source. There are summaries of the direct and indirect expenses that we have, and then we have a summary of how our work days are split out amongst our 19 staff, the various pieces that they're working on. You can match that back up with the funding source and show how that's paid for. In July, we will have the program worksheets as well. That's what show expenses and tasks by program. And then also the narrative portion, which shows what staff will be working on for each of those areas. I'm going to talk just about the revenue expense summary on page 18 today, but I can answer any questions I have on any part of the document. So going to page 18 and looking at revenues on the left side, we start with member dues. So orient this chart, the axis on the left side is dollars, the axis on the right side is people, is population. General member dues are the blue bar and the orange bar are special member dues. Special member dues are 1% of the total general member per special member. All right, so having said all that, these are the same dues that were presented in the 5-year projection in March and approved by the board in April, except that we have added Elmore County for about $15,000 additional dollars here. Our per capita rate has stayed the same since 2015. So this increase that you're seeing over time follows that increase in population. 2025 and 2026 jump up a little bit with the additions of Boise County and Elmore County respectively. Next section on the revenue side on the left is federal grants. First item is the consolidated planning grant for fiscal year 2027 at 1.8 million, same as the prior year. Next year's here. So we have seen a reauthorization bill be introduced into the House as Build America 250. This bill that's been introduced includes a one-time 10% increase in our planning funds, plus an annual 3.5% increase thereafter. Bill has been introduced but not voted on. However, we are cautiously optimistic that we will in fact see some growth in planning dollars in the future. It is uncertain when that bill will actually pass. We do expect a continuing resolution to extend the existing bill when it expires in 2030. But things are looking somewhat promising. Next line here is the off the top planning funds, which have a one-time increase of about 45% over the previous annual amount of $307,000. This adjustment was approved by the board in April. We'll also see a 2% increase annually in those funds in the future. The 2026 additional dollars you see there were just one-time funds for 2026 that were freed up and programmed just as part of that year's TIP. Next line is the alt fuel study, which has been moved out to preliminary development in the TIP that went out for public comment starting June 9th, which was a few days after this packet was prepared. So we'll see that removed in the draft that you see in July 23rd. Next up are our smart corridors plan and the transportation system management and operations plan. Both of those projects are in the TIP for 2027, and there are corresponding direct dollars. In March, the TISMO plan was stretched out over 2 years, and subsequent it's all been pulled into 2027. So we've made that adjustment compared to what you saw previously. Last line item there is the final year of funding for Communities in Motion 2055. That's a carry forward amount from 2026. In total, just about $3 million in federal grant money. This is about $260,000 greater than what you saw in the March projections we provided, primarily due to moving that TISMO project all into 2027, and then the additional $133,000 in off the top funding. That represents a true revenue increase rather than just a time adjustment. Next up is other contracts and agreements. This is the same as what you saw in March. We have our participant contributions for our annual orthophotography flight and about $60,000 in interest income as our fund balance continues to hold in about the $2 million rate as of right now. Last section on the left side is our draws from fund balance. We have $100,000 for our Communities in Motion implementation grants that will be awarded by the board in March. Local match on our various federal. Typo there. Communities in Motion 2055, not 66. Match on our various federally funded projects. And then the last line in that section there is the fund balance draw to cover our budget shortfall of about $234,000. In total, about $399,000. This is an improvement over what we showed you in March. At that time, we were at about $583,000. coming out of fund balance, so a decrease in the amount that we need to support our budget of $184,000. Big chunk of that is that off the top funding addition. All right, moving over. So overall is our budget pie on the revenue side is about 64% federal dollars, 24% member dues, 8% from our fund balance, and then 4% from other categories there. This is quite consistent from year to year on how that funding splits out. All right, now on the right side, we have expenses, beginning with our salaries and benefits for our 19 professional staff. This is the largest share of our budgeted expenses. We have included a 1.5% cost of living adjustment. This was the same that was included in March. However, since that time, we've seen inflation climbing. The 12 months ended May were 3.5%, as were the 12 months ending April. We did include a 2% merit pool, recognize performance. This is applicable to all the staff except the executive director, and the actual distribution of those funds is determined by the executive director based on performance. We did add to the budget to cover the 6.44 increase for the executive director that was approved by the board on Monday. We are estimating about a 3% increase to our benefit costs. We do know that our healthcare, which is through the Boise Municipal Healthcare Trust, will be a 3% increase. The other categories we are estimating at 3%. Percy has announced, as I'm sure you know, that they will not be implementing their rate increase, so that's good news for our budget. And then lastly, we are proposing a cost share on medical premiums for covered spouses. Right now, Compass covers 100% of the cost of medical premiums for employees, spouses, and dependents. And about 63% of our staff do cover their spouses on the plan. I think for an individual, when you're looking, will I cover my spouse at Compass for $0, or perhaps have some cost there at my employer? It's an easy decision to make, but it is a costly one for Compass to provide that coverage. So we are proposing to add a small percentage for cost shares, about 10% of the total premium costs, which works out to about $40 a paycheck for employees. So overall, the increase in the payroll budget is about 5% compared to the prior year. As I mentioned, we are fully staffed at 19, and retention of our team is really an important strategic consideration for us, because we have our senior staff all reaching Rule of 90 between now and the next 5 years. So I am concerned about filling those roles with the staff that's kind of in the middle tier, stepping into those roles as those retirements happen. It's important to retain those folks, strike that balance between budget sustainability, between retaining those employees so they can move into those roles, and then that sense of equity and pay for all of the staff. So with those things in mind, we have some alternative scenarios for your consideration. Each of the scenarios shown here shows a 0.5% increase in that COLA adjustment, and what that would mean for the budget down there towards the bottom in terms of additional dollars. As noted, the 1.5% that we've proposed is pretty far below the actual CPI. And so bumping that cost of living adjustment amount may help us keep up with the market better, and help with our retention element.
So are you saying, so if we went alternative 3, just for instance,
Yes,
it's only an increase our budget of $31,000?
$31,000 for FY27. Yeah, that's correct.
That's nothing.
Okay. So moving down the page there, our indirect expenses, we have actually dropped these back from fiscal year 2027 by about $12,000 there. This is primarily around our IT support. We have a third-party contract for IT support and other professional services. We turn those back, recognize some saving, and reduce that cost. These cover all the overhead pieces, insurance, audit, building, etc. And then the last section are our direct expenses, about 1.7 million in total. These can vary quite a bit from year to year depending on what projects we have planned, and for significant portion of those expenses, we do have corresponding federal dollars. So communications and education covers the education series, safety campaign, other outreach efforts, pretty consistent with the prior year. Long range planning covers the cost of studies and outreach to support communities in Motion 2055. Bike counter management, that's data transmission, supplies and equipment for bike ped counter program, which is up and running again. For the TIP, the transportation improvement program, that's just the cost of public comment and outreach there. Project development and communities in motion implementation grants budgeted at 150,000 and 100,000 respectively. That's the same amount that we did for FY26. That grant research line in the middle of those two, that's dollars to support data collection and other information gathering when we're doing federal grant applications for our members. Government affairs, pretty consistent with fiscal year 26. This is our contracted support as well as other outreach efforts and then dues to our national organizations like NARC and AMPO and staff development, training and conferences for our 19 staff, pretty consistent with this, or the same number actually as FY26. Support for our committees. The regional travel demand model, that is a high number compared to 2026, but that includes those two studies, that the smart corridors in Nampa and the TSMO transportation system management operations study. And then direct operations, or GIS is our software and our photography flight. And then the direct operations is primarily the software tools that support our staff in various forms. So altogether about 1.7 million. So looking again at fund balance, if all of those things were to happen, just as planned, we'd end the year at about 1.7 million on hand, which is well above that $1 million floor that you have set. That is all my comments. Happy to answer any questions or receive
Any
comments.
questions for? Well, look like we're gonna ask something. No?
I just wonder about that $500,000 in there for the regional transportation thing.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Beck, yes, you have the 371,000 for the TSMO study, and then another 130,000 for the smart corridors study, so that makes up the bulk of it, and then the balance is just kind of some technical support that's for our public demand model to keep it tolerated and updated.
What are we gonna get out of it?
Studies, I mean, where those studies, did we approve those and stuff?
Yeah, they're in the tip. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the TSMO,
But what do you get out of that?
the TSMO, that's the big chunk of this chip. The TSMO is the big chunk of that. And I mean, that's a traffic operations and sort of optimization, how to manage traffic flows, things like that. So it's a regional look at that. And so our stakeholders are going to be the highway districts, cities, jurisdictions.
Tell them to do it.
We're going to provide them with information that they'll be able to use for that. But I know that ITD.
ICC and also the Nampa highway districts as well.
Yeah.
And ITD.
Yeah, and I know that
This
this
is cut
ITD.
down the traffic on the freeway. It won't be as bad.
It's one of the first steps in a really effective congestion management process. So the first step or one of the early steps before moving into big,
We're closing the
multi-billion.
gap out the Star, aren't we?
You are now.
Yeah, I know.
Briefly.
Thank board.
But yeah, so it doesn't, what we're doing is providing them with the information and with their input, the plan will be able to reflect what kind of outcomes we have. And I think as we get closer to initiating, we'll come in and give the board kind of a full brief of what to expect.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Was there some discussion when we discussed this last time about how Boise State or some of the other agencies were gonna help work on this program to help reduce the cost a little bit? Did I just misunderstand that? So we didn't want to duplicate studies, I guess is maybe what I'm thinking.
I believe the Boise State effort was around the transportation poll.
Yeah, but if I could, when we do the poll, we'll be using Boise State to do that, and it should allow us to kind of get the lowest cost as a public sector partner for that. So we should be able to optimize the cost, but we haven't gone into contract. We're just starting to negotiate what that MOU with them will look like.
Thank you very much, and now you can see that I'm very new.
You can't use that excuse. You sound like one of my city councilors, like, hey, you've been here 2 years.
Well, thank you for reminding me.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I don't see it. Can we go back to the salary thing or the raise thing? I want us to discuss that. So are we saying right now that in our current, in this new budget, we're gonna just do the 1.5 and 2?
Correct.
Correct? Don't we have alternatives? Where does that have to get approved at? Here first before it goes to the board?
I think guidance, we sort of from discussion, we can take guidance, and then we would come back in July with an updated version if that's what seems to be the sentiment for your approval before it goes to the board.
I know, I understand other people's, my opinion is it should be in that alternate 3 level. I'm just gonna tell everybody that. A $31,000 increase to create relief with the incredible prices that we're seeing today for employees is nothing. That's a drop in the bucket. And I thought it was gonna be a lot more than that. So that's why I had to ask that question when you were talking about that. I don't know what everybody else's opinion is of that, but what was it last year that we did? Do you remember?
3 and 3. Yeah,
We did 3 and 3 last
I
year.
believe so.
3 and 3?
Was it 3 and 3 or 2?
I'm
sorry.
I was
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
doing the job and just learning.
Yeah.
Very
You can't
numbers.
use that again. That was the year.
Well, I learned from the best. So it was in that range.
I get we're a government agency. I totally understand all that stuff, but sometimes you gotta do what's right for the employees. In my opinion, you should go with alternate 3. That's where I would go, but I don't know what everybody else thinks. I don't know what everybody else's budgets are looking like in their own cities and stuff. I mean, we're going with a 5 to the city of Star on ours total. You know, I know, what are you guys doing now? What do you guys decide or going to decide?
Oh, we've already, we made that decision. It's quite a bit less than that. Of course, we have 2,200 employees too.
Yeah, you gotta be an employee, yeah.
Makes a little different. We're doing 60 cents an hour COLA. That gives the lower people a higher percentage and the upper end.
Well, you went with $1. Oh, I know.
Well, 60 cents.
Well, I know, but $1.
$1,248 per year is what each employee
Yeah.
got. Then 1.5 in merit pool. And we're still having to raise taxes. We get criticized for it.
You ain't raising anything. It's gonna go down with all the building that's going on.
No, we don't get all our impact fees yet. We had all of our impact fees.
You can't even use it for that. Nice try.
But we have to use some of the other.
Remain.
But we do have to pay for some of the improvements.
Oh, no, I get it. Yeah. Understand.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add one comment to that,
Was it impact fees or?
that would not be germane.
No, Mr. Chair.
That's right, we gotta keep the.
So, no, I'll just note, I mean, one of the stressors from my perspective and Meg's as well, I think is as we look at that sort of what the rule of 90 and the retirement picture is probably starting to look like and staff retention needs, noting the ability to sort of keep up with inflation is going to be pretty important for that. And frankly, when someone leaves, to fill that position at an equal level costs more. So it's far more effective for us to retain than it is to try to fill vacancies for all the staff.
Do we have any kind of match that could put some money into a 401 or 457?
I think
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Beck, yes, we do 2% match for employees and 4% for team leads,
For what?
for our team leads.
2 and 4.
Green Leaf, we're looking for the same issue. We've got clerk, secretary, public works director, all within 5 years of retirement. And so we're saying, okay, now how are we gonna make these fit into a budget to be able to get somebody in train and up to speed before they go pull the trigger? Can we go half days? And we're just trying to work out something.
Lee's towards the end already?
What's that?
He's already towards the end, your clerk? Wow, good for you.
Lee, Carrie, Doug. Yeah, I think Doug's closest. So I mean, our city works director, so. Some of it we'll be able to maybe retain as far as, on retainer type consulting and whatnot, but. Like I say, it's that budget dance we do every year, trying to figure out how to, and trying to look forward instead of getting slapped with it all of a sudden.
Do you have your, every other week, is that how you make your payroll?
Yeah, we do it every 2 weeks.
So so next year, or in 28, you're gonna have to make up the 50, or another payroll.
The 27th.
27 payroll. We're budgeting for that now. So we don't have to come up with the whole thing. I had a hard time understanding that. Why do we have an extra payroll? We're not changing salary, but it's because of the calendar and all that.
So just to address that for us, we don't have to do that because we do 2 a month.
You what?
We do 2 a month. So we do.
Oh, not every other week then.
We don't do every other week.
Monthly. So we don't have that payroll.
I'm not opposed where you're coming from, and I know it is less expensive to retain employees.
It costs more than 31,000.
Just to go
For
through.
training and
When
all
you factor in the benefits,
in factor the benefits, I still hate.
we can take that as guidance, but there's no action.
No, there's no action, but I just wanted to have a discussion on this because I think it's an important discussion to have. So just.
Well, employee retention is one of the most critical things you have to do for your organization, because you lose all the experience. You have to train them up, and we're lucky we got a pretty low turnover rate. You're gonna have some natural, if you get a bigger organization, you're gonna have some natural turnover. But we have the lowest turnover in the sheriff.
Yeah, you need to pay more.
No, we have the lowest turnover. That doesn't.
Oh, I got you.
I didn't say the highest turnover,
Oh,
because the lowest turnover.
I mean, I just a smaller, did you say 19?
19.
I mean,
It's 60
Yeah.
bucks a paycheck, right?
losing 2 people in 19 is huge compared to what it is for the bigger ones.
Well, and some of our turnover, when we do have turnover, it actually costs us less to hire members, because these are lawyers. And higher paid. You don't start them out at the same level, right?
Well, I guess, would you guys be opposed to them looking at alternate 3?
Oh, that's a good idea.
There's that direction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. What else we got? Is that it, Ms. Meg, on that?
That is it.
All right, looks like our next meeting is July 23rd. Anything further from you, Mr. Director?
Nothing further from you.
Anything else, everybody?
No,
All right. It is 12:34. We are at the end of our agenda. We're adjourned.
Good job.
good job.
Yeah.
We can handle it.